listening to Mile High Insiders with Nick Kendall and Luke Patterson. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Now, it's time to find out what's going on behind the walls of UC Health Training Center.
And welcome in, everyone, to Mile High Insiders. I am your host, Carl Dumler, and of course, Mr. Luke Patterson. You get the double beards for a second time this week. I know everybody gets excited about that. We get excited about it. And we even have John, our Boana Beast. He's starting to grow out his beard, too. So we're starting a trend here, man.
Yeah, dude, we've started the revolution on Mile High Huddle. People either have to commit to it or just, get with the program. It's one of those two things, man. But I'm pumped to have you on Mile High Insiders. We got to chat a little bit this week on building the Broncos. And, man, a lot has happened between Tuesday and today.
Man, it seems that's the thing right now in our world is it's every week can be a whole new world.
Yeah, every day. I mean, it's just like we don't know what's going to happen every day. But, dude, I'm super pumped to talk some scrimmage today, man. Broncos team scrimmage, Carl. It's here. Football's here. It's like the preseason game that never happened. Well, it did happen today.
Finally, yes, you're right. And, I mean, this is the closest we're going to get to football until the Titans. And to actual game situations, all those kind of things that they're going to be talking about. And, there's a lot that happened, good and bad. It's one of those things, usually if something good happens for one unit, something bad happened for another unit. So it's kind of, whoever wins, somebody else has to lose. But, we're excited to talk about that with you guys. But before we get to that, make sure that you're following us on Twitter. You can find me at Carl Dumler, MHH, and at Luke Patterson, LP. And, of course, Nick at Nick Kendall, MHH. He's getting unpacked, getting all those boxes emptied, getting settled in there to the great Northwest. I think he's there.
Is he really? I mean, I talked to him today, and I don't know anybody that it's taken him 2 months to move across a couple of states. Busted Nick's chops, of course. Yeah, Nick on the unpacking mode. I did chat with Nick. I'm sure you did too. So, man, that's the thing I hate about the move the most: unpacking and packing. I'll get some buddies, split some cold pops, buy a pizza, and do the labor, but do not get me around cardboard boxes, and my wife is going to start just bossing me around.
Yeah, I had 3 days to pack up my house to move from Seattle to Kansas.
Did you hear that, Nick? It only took him 3 days. Nick's going from Iowa to Seattle, and you went from Seattle to Kansas in 3 days. Nick, you should be ashamed of yourself. I hope you're ashamed.
I know. Someday he'll learn. He'll grow up and see what it means to be an adult and pack up, leave, unpack, get set up, go.
I love it.
One day,
Carl, I'm super pumped you're in here, man. And everybody, give us those likes and thumbs up. Hit us up on Twitter, as Carl just mentioned. But go ahead and give us a review also. Let us know how we're doing. It's very important for all of our podcasts to continue to grow with you guys. And we want to hear what you guys want as well. So that's something that's very important to all of us. So give us those likes, give us those thumbs up, and let's roll, man. Let's have a good show.
Yeah, let's do that. Make sure you're heading over to milehighhuddle.com. All those things. We got lots going for you. And, of course, Terry Randall coming in with the first super chat. Cheers to the beards.
Terry, I saw a picture of you the other day. I think it was on Facebook or Twitter. And Terry's got a beard going, too. He's got I think it's the goatee beard going.
Yeah.
But it's a beard. We got to roll with what we got to roll with. And, if it means we look ruggedly handsome, then that's what we're going to do, Carl.
Exactly. Yes. It's all about those looks, man.
Good. I see it's all about those looks when you're on podcasting and everything else, right? That's why we're here, of course. We got Steven coming in here. I just want to say what's up to Steven. Steven's grinding on Madden 21. I love it because I know Steven is always ready for football, always ready for Broncos country. We've got Chris Sander coming in, asking some questions about a Broncos pass rusher. We got Big E, Peter Middleton. See all you guys out there. I want to give you guys lots of love. Thank you guys for joining us. And Carl, team scrimmage today, man. We got Darian P coming in here. One more compliment with the bearded Broncos. Greg Smith. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us. But the topic at hand, man, the Broncos had a team scrimmage today. Now, say what you want about practice this week, because there's plenty of content there of practicing and not practicing. Today, I want to talk about team scrimmage, because this is basically the preseason game for the Broncos. The biggest thing for me, at least, it seemed like people came away relatively healthy from this scrimmage. It's something I always cringe about, especially when it's rainy and stuff like that. It's slippery here in the Mile High City. What are you hearing from the team scrimmage and what happened today at Empower Field?
Well, like you said, injuries are always the biggest thing. Above whether they look good or look bad, if you can get out of this relatively healthy, you're feeling pretty good. There's about 5 guys that sat out. Todd Davis did sit out again. He should be coming back this next week to practice, from what I understand. So that's always a good thing to hear. At this point, especially with veterans, you got to be precautious. And that's what they did with Bradley Chubb. I know we've had a couple people ask about him. He's said it. The coaches have said it. It was completely just a precaution. He felt a little bit of some pain. They got it iced up. It's all checked out good. So he's not re-hurt in the sense of he's going to miss another season or anything like that. It's just a matter of they're just being really precautious. There's no reason to push it at this point. You want him there week 1, not week 3 of training camp.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's a very, very fair and cautiously optimistic way to handle Bradley Chubb coming off of an injury that he's been battling since high school, if we're going to be honest. But I got to tell you, Carl, I'm concerned. Not because Bradley Chubb, I don't think Bradley Chubb did a bad job in rehab or anything like that. The guy's been crushing it. He looks great. What I'm concerned about is time. Time is something that the Broncos do not have. They do not have time. The Titans are right around the corner here in just a few weeks, man. I mean, we have got to get this team in football shape. And the lack of the offseason due to the current circumstances that the NFL is looking at is not helping the Broncos or any NFL team one bit. But when I hear that the lead pass rusher, because let's be honest, Vaughn is getting a little up there in the tooth, but he's saying, hey, man, Chubb's the next guy. Chubb is the guy right now. Well, I'm just looking at the pass rusher thinking, man, you need those reps. If you're feeling sore, can you just go for a series or 2? Can we manage it like it was a preseason game? That's just kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not saying I disagree with Vic Fangio, but I'm really, really nervous considering the Broncos did have a practice off this week. Now, I don't want to get into whether or not they should have, they shouldn't have. It is what it is. The NFL and the Broncos deemed it best for their players to have that day off. Now, that being said, just looking at the black and white, that was one less practice than they had, and time is just a thing that the Broncos don't have, Carl, so I'm nervous. I'm really, really nervous because I just don't know what the reps are going to look like or lack thereof when some of these pass rushers and star players get on the field. Yeah.
It's making the best of a bad situation, I guess, is kind of what you're trying to do here. And I do think even beginning of the season, there's still going to be some limitations just because you're easing a guy back into a season. He hasn't taken a whole lot of hits for a long time here. And they do like what Malik Reed is showing. They do like what Itachu's showing. It's why they were willing to move Hollins to off-ball linebacker, because they liked what those 2 guys were bringing. Something that you and I hated. Yes, we hated Hollins in there because we are the linebacking experts here, Vic. You gotta. I kid, of course, I kid. No, you're exactly right. But so I still think it was going to be kind of bring him along where game 1, maybe he's in there for 65% of the snaps, game 2, 70, and just kind of slowly work him back into that game shape. And it is a concern because this is what, number 2 ACL injury. Yep. Number 3, number 3, he's done. You don't usually come back from 3 ACL injuries. You're right. That's something that's very. That's true. That's just the black and white of it. You can't get around it. We got Mundungus coming up here. One of our favorite guys, Mundungus. What's up, man? I don't think Carl is wearing his hat because of you today. If it's up to me, I'd put Chubb on a pitch count for the next few weeks and ramp it up the further along they get. I like it, Mundungus. That's smart. I put a
I put Chubb on a pitch count. Now, Carl, you said something in that last little segment, and Mundungus, thank you so much for the comment and the donation. It means the world to us that you guys tune in, man. And Mundungus, you've been rolling with us on Saturday nights. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. But Carl, you just told me something that I didn't really think about until you said it. You said it's been a while since Chubb has seen contact. And you're exactly right. But I have to ask you, what is going up against Garrett Bowles or Elijah Wilkinson or DeMar Dotson doing for Bradley Chubb or Von Miller? Absolutely nothing. Those guys are flying through those guys during practice. Drew Lock has to try to adjust. And you know what? I'm pretty sure, I'm not over there and I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure Vic's probably told them, hey, you guys need to tone it down a little bit on the pass rushing because we can't afford to get our star quarterback hurt. So when they're just dominating in practice and then you're trying to keep them safe by staying away from reps, I mean, on one hand, you don't want to just go waste reps in a scrimmage where someone can slip and get hurt. On the other hand, man, how many valuable reps are these guys really getting? Because I get it. They're two of the best, especially Von Miller, but I'm just worried because that lack of contact, I think we're going to see a really rough product on the field for a little bit. And you're going to have to see things ramp up. You look at the lockout. And when the lockout happened, what was that, 2010, 11?
11,
2011, So 2011, the lockout happens. The rookies come in. They don't know what's going on. The vets come in. It's still sloppy. And you see that sloppy product on the field for the first few weeks. Probably something we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, it will be just like practice was today, and we'll get into that more as we go. I did want to get to Terry Randall's comment here as he brought in another super chat. Carl and Luke, definitely co-winners of Alone. Thank you very much there, Terry.
Appreciate it, Terry.
Yep.
Terry, I'm a little lost. I don't know what that means.
I'm
Alone, like the show, the TV show Alone. I've been wanting to get into that, where those crazy people go into the woods and fight off. Bears be walking in the crib and everything, all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm a little confused, Terry. You've got me at a loss. We got Mundungus coming in here. Carl, you got yourself there a 5 head, not a 4. Whoa, maybe you should put a hat on. Whoa.
Hey,
Mundungus,
this
Carl,
head has to hold this brain in here. This is a big brain,
Mundungus, I got to take you behind the scenes here, man. So I was just talking to Carl before the show, and I was telling him I had just seen a picture of him without a beard, and I was troubled. I was very troubled because I saw this guy standing next to Carl's wife, and it wasn't Carl. And then Carl later confirmed, the beard has been giving him his strength for some time. So we got to give Carl some love, everybody. Carl works hard. Mundungus, I know it's all in good fun. We appreciate your donation. But no, man, you're exactly right, Carl. Today was sloppy. Today was absolutely sloppy. And when I was listening to Coach Vic Fangio of the Denver Broncos, one thing that he said that immediately resonated with me was, well, it was a good day for the defense if you're a defensive guy, and if you're an offensive guy, it probably wasn't too good. And I'm thinking, ooh, ouch. Don't overreact, Broncos country, because this defense is the highest paid defense in the NFL. Vic Fangio is supposed to be this defensive whisperer. So I expect these things, but at the same time, I'm a little worried about the Broncos offense. We're looking sloppy out there in the first day of your home stadium. I mean, tell me what you're hearing about that slop that came from the Broncos offense in the middle of a light drizzle, let's say.
So here's how I view it. One, the defense, this is second year with Vic Fangio, where the offense, this is first year with Shermer. So, of course, the defense was always going to be ahead of the offense. Two, of course, the offense is young. Defense has got a lot of veterans, so they should be more on track with where things are at. Shermer said it best that they would be, about 12, 13 practices into OTAs. And now we're looking at they're in training camp kind of thing. And so some of those things kind of matter. And also, I think of it as, do you think this defense has the potential to be a top 5 defense in the NFL this year? I do.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Top five. I'm going to go top 10 right now.
Okay. Well, even there, top 10.
Top 10, yes.
That's still a very, very good defense.
Top 10, I'm in. You bet. That's the expectation. Sure.
Right. And so you have a top 10 defense going against an offense that's only had about 15 days together really here. and trying to say that they should be on par and ready to go. And they're kind of doing what I expected, showing flashes of something that they can be, but still making a lot of mistakes along the way. And the other thing is that kind of makes this difficult is the strength of the Broncos defense, the edge players, is the greatest weakness of the offense in the tackles. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, when you got that big of a mismatch, there's going to be some fireworks that happen with that. But I'm not trying to excuse everything that happened today. It sounds like Drew Lock made some really stupid decisions, that those interceptions were on him, not just because pressure was getting into his face. And so, you just got to realize he's still young. He's going to make mistakes along the way. I still remember Patrick Mahomes in his second year. Like, even though he had like 15 touchdowns or something like that before his first interception, he had like 6 interceptions dropped before that first interception. They kept talking about, oh my gosh, look how great he is. He's making all these great decisions. I'm going, no, defenders just keep dropping passes. He's getting lucky more than anything else. I think he was ranked in the first 8 games as the luckiest quarterback in the NFL. And so, again, there's going to be some mistakes along the way. You have to be willing to understand that that's going to happen. He's a gunslinger. He wants to go make some big plays. And sometimes with those big plays means that you're going to have big plays the other way. So it's concerning that they're still being as sloppy as they are. But at the same time, it's just a little bit expected.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Here's something that I've got concerns about, just because I'm not out there this year and it's driving me nuts. But you know what? We're rolling with it because there's football. I can't see what Drew Lock's leadership looks like. I can hear it in the interviews. The guy slays interviews. He's done that since college. He's the charming, good-looking cat that'll come in there and just fascinate and charm a room. But I think that's who he is. I'm not calling him fake by any means. I like Drew Lock. I've liked him since college. I was shocked to see him fall. That being said, he has a lot to work on, but I just don't get the sense right now. And I don't know what type of leader Drew Lock is. I know he's not a yeller and screamer. Neither is Vic Fangio. None of those guys are, except Bill Kollar. And he's even been asked to tone it down from what I've heard. So I just want to know what Drew's telling these guys, when there's an interception or a fumble or a dropped ball. I want to know, is he saying, come on, man, let's get this? Or is he getting after him a little bit? Is he allowing them to work through it? I just don't know what to expect, because John Elway and Peyton Manning and Jake Plummer, those guys all got with their receivers and were trying to really get on the same page. And the receivers held them just as accountable, saying, dude, are you kidding me? You got to put me in a better spot. Things like that. I don't know where that's at, so I'm not criticizing it. I'm just concerned. It's the biggest fear is the unknown, Carl, and not knowing, what's going on with that synergy of the offense. I think sometimes that makes me wonder a little bit too, are you guys clicking? How does Courtland Sutton feel right now? Because he's a human being also. He's a great teammate from what everybody says, but this young rookie named Jerry Jeudy has been getting the shine from Ocho Cinco on Twitter. He's been, everybody's been loving on him. So is Courtland Sutton feeling, a little disrespected in areas? There's a running back battle going on with Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. There's always egos on an NFL team. I just hope to hear a report one day or hear about Drew Lock leading this team, because quarterback's got to do it, Carl. Dalton Reisler, he can do it on the offensive line, and that's great. But the quarterback's ultimately got to do it. And Drew Lock, I'm curious to see how he bounces back after a, average to below average day.
Yeah. All right, Richard Beisenkotter coming in here with a super chat.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, appreciate that. And can't wait for week 1, #sleepless state of being.
I love it.
We are what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks now from week 1?
Yeah.
A little over 2 weeks, I guess, because it's a Monday night game. Let's see. I think the Chiefs kick off 2 Thursdays from now. And so football will be back sooner than we think. And, coming in from Germany. That's good.
Thank you.
Where my people are from.
There you go. Yeah, got some that good German blood in you. Richard, thank you so much. Appreciate that following. And Terry Randall coming in with $2 super chat. Yes, the TV show Mountain Man, Luke, Broncos. I love Mountain Man. I love it. And Les Stroud from Survivor, man. I'm an anti-Bear Grylls guy. I can't stand the guy. He's got his camera crew and all that stuff. You guys want to watch some real Survivor stuff? It's not great production, but there's this Canadian survivalist named Les Stroud. He does the best stuff, films all his own stuff, Survivor, man. But Mountain Men, dude. Have you seen Mountain Men, Carl? That show is fun.
I have. Yeah. Yep.
I love
like
that show.
One too.
Marty in Alaska is my boy. The guy that flies around in his own plane and builds his own cabin. That guy is just a boss. You got Tom up there in Montana. Love it, Terry. I could talk Mountain Men with you guys all day. I'm a mountain man myself here in Colorado out of Roxborough. And we got our boy McDungus coming in. Nothing but love, Carl. Ain't nothing but love. And
I know it.
Mundungus, we love it, dude. We love you so much. It's awesome that you were able to bust our chops, and hopefully we'll be busting yours too. Let us know what you guys think of the comment section. What are you guys hearing from Broncos scrimmage today? So far, we've talked of Bradley Chubb. He's got a sore knee, wasn't quite ready to go. Drew Lock taking a couple risks and silly passes that maybe he wishes he could have had back, and injuries. That's something I want to come back to. Everybody wants to talk about injuries because that's what's happening in training camp. You want to make it to your starting game with as many players as you can because as the season starts, Carl, they're going to start falling off. We know that. It's just that's what happens. Yeah. Some might argue that's why Melvin Gordon's here. Some might argue that's why Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon are going to be a great pair. Both of them are going to get banged up. Now, also here in a little bit, John was talking to me. It sounds like Graham Glasgow had a little bit of a moment today. It sounds like he went into the facility there at Empower Field during the middle of practice. What'd you hear about Graham Glasgow? Well, how's he doing?
So it sounds like a sprained ankle. And now that I hate that because sprained ankle can mean a very wide range of things. I just had one back at the beginning of July, and the doctor told me not to run for 6 to 8 weeks, and pretty much for the first 4 weeks to put zero weight on it. And it was a sprained ankle. And they said sometimes when you get that ligament damage and everything else going on in there, it's almost worse than having a broken bone.
And let me ask you this, Carl, just real quick, man. Mm-hmm. How tall are you?
I am 5'9".
5'9", cool. And how much do you weigh?
I weighed myself this morning because I'm on a weird diet right now. 205.
All right, you're right on. So you're 205. Something tells me that Graham Glasgow is a little bigger than 5'9", 205.
Really?
Just a little, just something. So putting all that weight on that ankle, that's got to hurt, man.
Yeah. Now they can tape it up. They can give some shots in there to kind of numb the pain. But even there, I don't like that idea just because then if he injures it more, you can't always feel that you've injured it more. And then it just gets worse and worse and leads to bigger problems as the season goes on. And, of course, you start taping up ankles and making it where you can't move quite as well. Yeah, it just doesn't end well. But so right now I'm still waiting to hear what kind of grade of sprain it is. And, of course, is it a high sprain, low sprain? I haven't heard all of those details. I think if it's a low sprain, like a grade 1, sit him out for a week, he should be fine. Nothing big. I've had those plenty in my life. No big deal. You can get back pretty quick. If it's a high ankle sprain, though, man, that's probably going to linger into the season. And if he plays on it, it's just going to be something he's going to have to fight through all year.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man. And it can only get worse, too, if he's playing on it. And something I'm trying to figure out right away, which foot is it? And do we know?
I'm not sure.
The reason I ask is if he's at a guard position, right, you're really not asking your guards to take too many kick steps, even in pass pro. It's more just do your best to hug the guy and keep your hands inside the best you can. So if it was a tackle, I'd be really concerned with that kick step. Because he's a guard, depending on, I assume he's a right-handed guy. If it's that right foot, that first power step, if we're going right, man, that's going to be really tough for Graham Glasgow. Yep. And you're exactly right. It's an annoying injury. It's something. It's not the end of the world. Nobody needs to start freaking out and start calling offensive guards. They're not going to do that. but it's an annoying injury. Something I've always said about ankle injuries and twisting your ankles, the ankle, in my opinion, is the worst anatomical thing on the human body. It is designed to roll. It is designed to break. It's just awful, man. It's awful. And so that's obviously a bummer, because I know Nick and I have talked about it. You guys have talked about it. Everybody on Mile High Huddle has talked about it. Graham Glasgow is a very underrated addition to this offensive line. But Wannabeast was talking to me about it before you hopped on with us, and it's just, we both agreed, man. He's a player that we would want to talk to for new additions. He's just a fascinating guy. His story, the things he's overcome. So definitely wishing Graham Glasgow a good recovery on that ankle injury. And your doctor, man, 6 to 8 weeks, that bums me out. I'm just hoping the Broncos doctors are maybe feeling a little different about that recovery.
Yeah. Like I said, mine was a really bad sprain.
How'd you do it? How'd you running? Were you running and sprained it?
No, I was playing basketball and landed on someone's foot.
Oh, balling.
And it just rolled and I heard a pop, and it was done for.
So did you hear that, McDungus? Carl Dumler, ballin' extraordinaire. So I got to ask, because I got a buddy who's always telling me he dunked back in the day, right? And he's a really good friend of mine. I just can't see it. Can you dunk, Carl?
No, not even close.
Dang it. I wish you said yes, because I totally believe you. But we got Chris Hernandez coming in here. Cheers to the beards. What's up, Chris? Looking good, man. Love the beer stein. We commented on that last week. Let me know where you found that thing, man, because that thing's tight. I like to collect the Broncos beer every year. I've got like 1 can of each year. I'm a total nerd. Have to do it. It's up on the shelf. But no, we appreciate you guys rolling with us. Graham Glasgow going in. We're thinking it's a sprained ankle. Not sure which one, but the Broncos are definitely going to be taking it light with him. So who fills that slot if you got Graham Glasgow, trying to take it a little bit easier? Who's going to be getting extra reps at the right guard position?
So first guy in was Austin Schlottman.
Oh, you mean to tell me that a 6'8" center is going to start playing guard again? That sounds a little bit better, right? Peter, thank you for that, Peter.
I would like Moody to get a chance, because I like Moody a lot. He was one of my favorite picks the Broncos made. At the same time, I'd still like Moody to get a year to recover from all of his injuries and then come back in. But we'll see how that plays out. And I mean, that's the nice thing, is the interior, they actually have some depth. They have some guys that can come in there. And I even wouldn't mind if they moved Elijah Wilkinson to that right guard spot and Dotson to the right tackle spot. I still think Elijah Wilkinson's best spot is at guard more than tackle.
Ooh, Carl, you were on to something. I didn't even think about that. I like that a lot. I'm trying to rack my head, right? I'm thinking, okay, Schlottman going in there. Is Patrick Morris going to somehow earn the trust of Vic Fangio? And I don't know if we talked about it, but I've been asking people for all week, why was Patrick Morris getting yelled at by Vic Fangio in practice? I finally figured out why. Apparently, Patrick Morris body slammed rookie defensive lineman McTelvin Najim and after the whistle. Yeah, Shelby Harris got after the young guy. Vic Fangio stopped practice. A guy who's not a yeller or screamer. Well, he raised his volume that day to Patrick Morris. So Patrick Morris is in the doghouse right now. But Elijah Wilkinson at right guard, DeMar Dotson at right tackle. That's very interesting, considering DeMar Dotson got some first-string reps today at right tackle, Carl.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Yeah, he did. And we were talking about it before the show. Dotson is one of those guys. I know a lot of people are concerned, like, why isn't he moving up the depth chart? Why isn't he not up there? He doesn't really need those reps. The guy's been in the league for a long, long time. He's started for a lot of years. If the Broncos absolutely need him to start week 1, he's going to be ready. He's going to be an average player. You know what you're getting out of Dotson. The Broncos right now are trying to figure out, what do we have in Elijah Wilkinson? What do we have in some of these young guys that are coming in? Are they going to be guys that we can count on for being some backups as we move forward? Right now, Dotson's kind of the least of their worries when it comes to the offensive line. But it's still one of those things. I think chemistry on the offensive line is important. I think he does need to get some reps of just talking with Glasgow, hearing how Lloyd Cushenberry calls the offensive line, from the center position, just getting everybody on the same page. I think that's still very, very important. But right now, I'm not too worried about whether Dotson gets a ton of reps or not.
Darian P coming in with that knowledge. Darren, you're always throwing it down, man. You're always throwing it down. Darian P, Pat Morris went from possibly starting center to possibly off the roster. You're exactly right, man. And I don't have a problem necessarily with the roughness, but you don't hurt your own guys. And that's something that coach just let the young man know. Duke Boynton, what's up, Duke? Duke coming in. I see you, pal. Put Vanette in as a coverage linebacker, okay? I'm done beating that drum.
So Duke emailed me, I think it was a few days ago, with this idea.
All right, Duke.
Moving him over to that coverage linebacker spot. And I said, hey, there's a lot of times that cornerbacks played wide receiver at one point and wide receivers played cornerback at one point. They know the position. They know what they look like. They know what they're trying to do on their routes. So it's not the worst idea ever, but I do still like Vanette because he's a good blocker. They don't really have Fant is getting better, but he's still not a great blocker. Alberto Okuwebanam, he is not a great blocker at all. And so you need Vanette to still be that blocking guy, but maybe he can play two ways. I don't know. It's one of those. Might as well at least give it.
I've never heard of that. You're exactly right. We hear about cornerback to wide receivers. Heck, even sometimes running backs going to DB. Weird stuff like that. But man, and how crazy was it when Champ Bailey would come in? Hall of Famer as a wide receiver every once in a while in Mike Shanahan's offense. Something he had to beg for. Yeah. He had to beg coach for. It's almost like I think Champ probably counted in his head and on paper, if I get so many interceptions, I'm going in at wide receiver. And there's nothing Mike could do about it. But no, you're exactly right. That's something interesting, Duke. I like it. I like where your head's at because you're exploring new things. And one thing we know for sure about the NFL is they're always looking at new things and new trends. McDungus, what up, homie? He's coming in one more time. I would be more concerned if Locke didn't throw any interceptions in training camp. And that's a really interesting theory. And a theory I wanted to ask you about, Carl. If you're going to make mistakes, preferably make them on the practice field. But these guys are going to make them in games as well. How do you think Drew Lock is going to respond after these interceptions? We talked about it earlier. I don't expect him to go 0-3, 0-4 and, not say anything or not improve his game. But are you happy with him throwing interceptions in camp as opposed to games? Or do you think he needs to clean up his act right now? Because basically this is the rough draft paper. Well, the final is due in 2 weeks. So he can make his mistakes now, but we got to see improvement, man.
Yeah, well, he can't go out there and keep throwing 3 interceptions a game kind of thing like he did today in the first half of the practice. I will say it doesn't sound like he really threw any for the second half. So I like that he responded in that way of cleaning up some things and not being quite as sloppy with the football in the second half. But right now, I really don't mind interceptions either. Peyton Manning talked about it, that he used training camp to learn what he could not do more so than what he could do. And so he threw a ton of interceptions. I remember everybody was all excited when Patrick Mahomes threw like 7 interceptions in the first 7 practices of training camp, his second year. And all of us.
That was me. I was so pumped.
And obviously that did not happen. And so it doesn't concern me too much. If it starts going into the season and this guy's making a lot of bad reads, then yeah, there is some concern about that he's not really seeing the field like he should. But it's still a new offense. He's going to make some mistakes. He's got that gunslinger, and I don't want him to lose that.
No.
I want him to be smart, but there's got to be times he's just going to go out there and take some chances because to really make it in this league, especially in today's NFL, you got to take some chances. And so I don't want him to all of a sudden become conservative Derek Carr check down guy.
Yeah, because then you're the Denver Nuggets and you get the Utah Jazz and the Utah Jazz show you up. But this isn't a Nuggets podcast, but I like to take my digs at the Nuggets when I can, just because I'm a hater. So anyway, we just had a question come up about Drew Lock, and there was some talk about Drew Lock getting injured today. Don't worry, he got stepped on. It sounds like he got stepped on. They let him walk it out for a little bit, come back in the game. Is there anything we should be concerned about regarding Drew Lock's health?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you always worry about when somebody gets stepped on, kind of like the Bryce Callahan situation where.
Oh, yeah. Bryce Callahan cannot get stepped on ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
There is a difference, obviously, between playing quarterback and cornerback. So I think a quarterback can still play with those kind of injuries. A cornerback cannot. So, I'm not too worried about it. It seemed like he came back the next series that the first team offense was on the field, and he's a tough guy. I know he had the thumb injury last year, but you think about him being in the SEC on one of the worst teams in the SEC and going against some of the top elite pass rushers and taking that beating week in, week out, and still getting back up, still cheering on his teammates. I think that's one thing that really stuck out to me with Drew Lock. He never threw his teammates under the bus. Like he was surrounded by inferior talent, and he never put it on them. He would call himself out all the time. Hey, I should never have made that throw.
But he wasn't Chris Harris Jr.? He didn't pull a CHJ and any of that, saying, "Hey, where were you guys?" I want to say what's up. I want to say what's up real quick. I got my boy Z in there. Everybody, go check out Z's new hot shirt. Absolutely love it. Letting them hate. We got the queen, the super chat queen. I'm feeling a little honored, Carl. You know, the super chat queen's in the house, Miss Christie up in there. So we appreciate everybody showing what's up and saying what's up and showing us love. Man, you guys are killing it. Peter up in there. Terry coming in. What's up with Carl's majestic beard? Terry absolutely showing us love, always supporting us. We appreciate you guys very much. Now, you guys don't got to worry about Drew Lock. Drew's okay. He's going to be cool. He's fine. And, man, that hurts, though. I don't know how many of you guys, and let us know in the comment section. Dude, that was one of the things I hated the most in high school football, pee-wee football, anything. When you get stepped on, man, it hurts like a mother. Okay, and it is something that just makes me mad. I've seen guys actually fight over getting stepped on before, like just annoyed, tempers are high. Dude, getting stepped on is no joke, but thankfully the QB's tough, and something tells me he's going to be all right.
Yep. All right, we got Mundungus coming in again. I just dunked on my 5-year-old's plastic hoop. Eat that, Carl. You know what? I'm going to go. We got the school playground right next to my house. They can lower it down to that 7 foot. I'm going to go record myself with a 360 dunk later tonight, just for you, Mundungus.
Yeah, I love it. Mundungus, I'm the same way, man. I've been known to cross up many a 5-year-old in the street here in Colorado, so I definitely appreciate that love. We got Dennis Woods. What's up, Dennis? Dennis coming in with a question. Can't remember when the cuts are down. Carl, the NFL has stated that rosters got to be trimmed. It's a new thing we're seeing in the last couple of years where it's not the days of old. When's the date? When are we trimming guys? When are guys getting their walk-in papers just because that means we're closer to the NFL season?
I think it's the week before the season starts.
Yeah, I think it's that Monday. They usually start the NFL usually starts on business days. So I think it'd probably be Monday early, right in the morning. So Carl looks like he's checking on that. Maybe John, you can check on that if you get time as well. So yeah, that's a good question, Dennis. I like where your head's at, man, because basically the Broncos got to figure out how to evaluate guys based off of what they've seen. And I talked a little bit in one of our first segments about how annoyed I am that some of these guys aren't getting the reps that they should get. And it's tough. It's really tough. Coach Fangio has been asked about it on tons of press conferences. How do you evaluate guys? And you look at the cornerback position based on limited reps. And I know Coach definitely spoke a little bit about Devontae Harris today. And he was asked specifically about Devontae Harris. What are you seeing? Are you seeing improvement? And Coach said, absolutely, he's seen improvement. And he's seen it in those little things. He also added that he's had Devontae Harris in his office. And he was telling him, hey, I do see some improvement. And just a week ago, Coach Fangio said he wants someone to start sticking out. Do you think Devontae Harris, a young cornerback that we really don't know that much about, do you think he could possibly be one of those corners to replace an Isaac Yiadom to move up the depth chart?
He could be. I mean, he had a couple nice moments last year He's still young, still learning the position. So I don't put it past him that he could reach there. I still think Yadam has the inside track. It sounds like Bosby, some were questioning whether he ended up sick the last couple days and just was having some pretty bad practices from what I understand. And where Yadam, he's really had some pretty nice moments and seems to be getting more and more consistent as the season goes on, or as the training camp goes on. And I know that's not what people want to hear, because it's kind of like the Garrett Bowles of the defense. Everybody kind of remembers all those mistakes, all those times of getting burned, and especially that Raiders game week 1 last year. Man, that was a tough game for him. Part of that I put on him, but part of that I put on the coaching for not making any adjustments to help the kid out. And that it was a learning experience for both of them. And so I still think Yadam's going to be the guy that's going to be the number 3 when the season starts. But I do like that Devonta Harris is a nice depth piece. I think that's the really nice thing with our cornerback group is you got a lot of guys with starting experience because of injuries last year. They got on the field. They had some decent moments. They had some bad moments. Bosby looked great in his couple games before he got hurt. Devonta Harris, again, he had a couple good games and then kind of fell off as the season went on. Yadam, I mean, he had his run at the beginning of the season, end of the season. And so at least you got some guys that have seen the field, see what it's about, and can substitute in. Let's say Yadam is struggling again week 1. Well, hey, Bosby, get in there, buddy. Bosby, you're struggling? All right. Harris, get in there.
Yeah, so, I can't. I just can't subscribe to that, man. I can't co-sign it. And one of the reasons being, when I was on KOA, I think last month they were asking me, do you think the boys Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Albright? And they were asking me, man, hey, dude, do you finally look the other way on Isaac Yadam? Do you bring in another guy? There was an ESPN article. I forget who wrote the article, but they were essentially saying trade for this Green Bay Packer cornerback, last name Jackson. I can't remember the first name. And it's funny because this young man also played at Iowa and was there for 1 year, right, with Michael Ojemudia. So I said, it's sometimes better to stick with the player you know than the player you don't know. I'm taking it back, man. I've seen enough and heard enough from people that I trust with Isaac Yadam. Vic Fangio is consistently talking about trust in players, and there is no way that Isaac Yadam has any trust from this coaching staff. These coaches are trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and he's just not producing. I get it. It's hard to cover Cortland Sutton. It's hard to cover Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. KJ Hamler, he's not out there right now. Okay, so Tim Patrick, man, come on. I need you to get with it a little bit. I think that should be a little bit more of an even matchup. Deshaun Hamilton, I've often compared Deshaun Hamilton and Isaac Yadam. I think at times their confidence is so low in themselves, and it drives me nuts because we can all see the ability. Isaac Yadam, I think he's one of the smartest defensive backs probably in the room, but he just seems to lose his confidence. And I just don't know if he's broken or not, man. So it's one of those things that I'm trying to look at and trying to figure out as we move along. But, yeah, man, it's just one of those things where Vic Fangio doesn't give out a lot of compliments. And when he's saying, I've seen little improvements and I've talked to him about it and things like that, I like it. And sometimes, you got to really take coach at face value with these words and then start to look into them a little bit and say, hey, coach doesn't just say things just to say them.
Right. So I did want to answer the question from before. September 5th. At 4 p.m. is when cut down day is.
It's coming up, man. It's coming up.
All right. Harry Burgos coming in here. This is a great question. So besides Locke making some bonehead plays and offensive line being a turnstile, how did some of the other positions perform during the stadium session?
Well, it sounds like the tight end position looked pretty good, as we would expect. Albert Okwuegbunam. I said that right. That right. I can't believe on the first go even. I said it right. Alberto caught his first touchdown at Empower Field, even though it was in team scrimmage. But looks like he was wide open from what I could see. In the tight end room, very, very deep. Didn't hear anything about Jake Butt today. Jake Butt's been the training camp darling, and that's great. He's a nice story and everything, but I didn't really hear anything there. Didn't hear too much about Noah Fant. So looking at the young rookie, Drew Lock's BFF, he had a good day, man. Alberto continues to improve. I just need him to start blocking, like you said. I know I've criticized him at milehighhuddle.com for his blocking, and, coach has too, saying it's a want to thing. You either want to do it or you don't. And you can't have two tight ends that aren't going to block. So I think Alberto is going to embrace that. And I think, with Mike Munchak, I'd expect improvements there. But what else did you hear from other positions? Anything about the linebackers? How's the outlaw Josie Jewell looking against some of these fine tight ends the Broncos have?
Obviously, if the tight ends are winning, usually that means the linebackers are losing. So I'd say that group was struggling a little bit. Safeties obviously look good. Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson were both making plays. It sounds like Bouye had a good day. No concerns there. Callahan got beat a couple times by Sutton, but of course, most cornerbacks are going to get beat by Sutton, so not too worried about that.
And
the defensive line.
Andy Southey, Bryce Callahan left that stadium under his own power, so that is a win.
Yes. Now, a group that I did hear a lot about was the defensive line. It's not only that they were dominating getting pressure, but they were knocking down a lot of passes today for all the quarterbacks. It sounds like Driscoll had a terrible day. He was throwing interceptions. I know Locke's getting all the attention, but Driscoll was making just as many mistakes. And so that's obviously a concern. Offensively, Jerry Jeudy made some great catches. I think, Sutton had a great day also. It just sounds like there was a little bit of just some timing things that were going on with the wide receivers, but they kind of cleaned it up for the second half compared to the first half. So that's nice to hear. It did sound like there was a few drops out there as well that should have been some really big plays for the offense and just didn't end up happening. So wide receivers sounds like up and down. Top two guys were good. The rest of them pretty sketchy at times. But I think I didn't hear much about the running game. They didn't really talk too much about that. But
no, I didn't really hear too much either about Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay, or let alone or Royce Freeman, right? It sounded like Bellamy had some really good days in training camp this week, started turning a few heads, was running with the ones. So something I'm keeping an eye on is that young man. The Broncos don't just go out there and make you the highest paid undrafted free agent of the 2020 season for no reason. So definitely looking at Bellamy a little bit, man. What do you know?
Well, and that's going to be one of the interesting decisions that they have to make. Do they keep 4 running backs? Or do they take the risk and go with the young guy that's not great at blocking and hope the other 2 can stay healthy and that Bellamy could be a big play back every once in a while for them? Or do they go with the veteran? Because Freeman's been having a great training camp from everybody that I've talked to. He has looked faster. He's looked stronger. He's looked more confident. And even the running backs coach, when they were interviewing him, he didn't want to just talk about Lindsey and Gordon. He threw Freeman's name in there, that we have 3 great running backs. And so part of me thinks that probably means that Bellamy's going to try to be pushed onto the practice squad, especially with no preseason games. I don't think you're going to see a lot of teams go around trying to pick up extra guys from other rosters. You just don't know what they are. And so I think they can sneak him on there. And especially running back, it's kind of, they're a dime a dozen. It's why they're not getting paid anymore. And so I think they can sneak him on there and just kind of let him develop and hope that next year he can really step in there and be that big play back for him.
Can Bellamy return punts?
He could. Well, I don't think he's great at it, but I think that's Spencer's job.
I don't, I just, man, I look at all this speed, right? And KJ Hamler, I'm concerned about him and his tweaks, just because you see these fast guys get tweaks and it really concerns me. But I look at the speed and I'm thinking, Deontay Spencer, man, I get it. Alternative Pro Bowl selection, has been a good player. Don't have any beef with the young man. But I look at all this other speed, man. I look at Bellamy. I look at Asang Bassi. I look at some of these young cats that are itching to make a team. And how do you make a team? You make special teams, and you show that you're a special teams contributor. It sounded like your guy, your late round wide receiver, right? Cleveland. He got some love this week. And he's definitely getting that love because of some of the things he can do on special teams. Now, they're not running 100% full go kickoffs because, well, it's been proven, like it or not, the NFL has changed. A lot of concussions and stuff happen from that. Imagine that. Kickoff, man. I remember playing it in Little League. I used to be terrified of kickoff, dude. Absolutely terrified because you never knew when your number was going to get called, you were going to get ear-holed by some kid. And then once you got ear-holed, it was over and the fear was gone. But no, man, you got to look at some of these young cats as it comes to cut day. And you got to start figuring out, who is going to make the roster and who can we trust. Trust is the biggest thing for Vic Fangio. Right.
And that's the issue with Bellamy, though, is he's not great at pass blocking. From whatever I understand.
How could he be? He's tiny.
Right. He is tiny, but you look at Philip Lindsay and he's not great at it, but at least he's awful. You talked about it earlier.
Philip Lindsay is an awful pass blocker.
Right. But he's willing.
I don't care. Garrett Bowles is willing to go out there and be the starting left tackle, and it don't make him good. It's just one of those things where you know what? If you're putting Philip Lindsay into the game to be a pass blocker, I don't blame Philip Lindsay. That's a coaching error. You don't put a stallion out there and tell him to get in the way of the herd. You put a stallion out there so the guy can run and score and jump and do amazing, beautiful things. So, no, I hear you. It's got to be something that you got to be willing to do everything. You've got to be a Swiss Army knife. One of those reasons I miss Will Parks. He was the ultimate Swiss Army knife on this Broncos team, and I'm never going to stop missing him. I think I got a little bit of a crush on Will. Will's always been a good dude to me out there in training camp and everything too. So, no, man, we got to see. But the Broncos room, I'm really encouraged to hear that Rolls Royce is doing all right. But we got Gio Vandermark coming in here. First time donating on this show, and I just can't wait till the season starts. Work out the kinks now, but come the regular season, nobody is going to want to play us. Gio, welcome to the Mile High Insiders with Carl and Luke. And we got John's on the ones and twos, man. Thank you so much for that donation. And you're in. You just got jumped into the gang. You're in the Mile High Huddle gang. And I really encourage you to go over to Mile High Huddle. Check out the Twitter. Check out Carl at Carl Dumler, MHH. I'm at Luke Patterson, LP. And check out at Mile High Huddle. Go to milehighhuddle.com. We've got cats working day and night, international cats. We had one gentleman earlier come in from Germany and show us some love, and it made me think of our guy Keith. Always giving Keith out there props from Scotland. He's literally working while I'm sleeping. So absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for the support, y'all.
And Mundunga's coming in once again. Back in high school, I was a 5'10", 200-pound linebacker, and I was in on kickoff. Got my clock cleaned by a 4'2", 90-pound kid. I still have nightmares.
Mundungus, it sounds like you got laid out by the kicker, bro. It sounds like the kicker got you, man. And sometimes, dude, I know how that goes, man. I've had my day too, where I'm pretty big cat, man, and I've had some little guys come up and show me what's up, and just humbling moments. And that's just kickoff, man. McNuggets, thank you so much for sharing, dude, because I've been scared on kickoff, kick return, punt return. I just didn't want a part of any of it. Not because I didn't think special teams mattered, but because you could get your butt kicked on special teams, and you often do.
Yep. I say that I've told this story, I think, on Building the Broncos before, but my worst hit was not actually on special teams. I was on a run play up the middle. I was playing fullback. I was supposed to be a lead blocker. Our center was supposed to go get the middle linebacker, but this middle linebacker, as a freshman, had Division I teams wanting this kid. And he was like 6'2", 250 playing middle linebacker against us that are like 5'9", 150 pounds soaking wet. And my center just ran away. I don't even know where he went. And so it's just me and this guy. And I was like,
Juwan James out of there.
Yeah. And I went and took him on. And he threw me probably about 5 yards. But, hey, I got the block. Our running back ran by him.
You did your job, dude.
Yeah.
I did my job.
Yeah,
you did your
and then
job.
We got back to the huddle, and I'm like, Center, where were you? He's like, I thought I was supposed to go this way. I'm like,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Carl Dumler, a.k.a. Chris Harris Jr., joining us here on the Mile High Insiders, blaming the center.
I was with it.
You're exactly right, man. And it makes me think back, actually. I'm glad you shared that. And McNuggets, thank you so much. I'm glad you shared that as well, brother. But, man, do you remember or did you ever hear the story of Howard Griffith and LeVar Arrington? LeVar Arrington, go Google him, Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker that was nasty. You talk about huge linebackers. I'm pretty sure this guy was a defensive lineman or a linebacker. He was massive. And Howard Griffith got just planted fullback during Terrell Davis's days on his back. Well, he got to see him later in the playoffs, and it took two of them, Howard Griffith and another offensive lineman, but they were able to bring the big man down. And some of those interactions, man, that's the old school football I miss. Mike Alstott was one of my favorite players when I was a little boy. Tampa Bay Bucks, the A train, right? So I will wrap old 90s, 2000s football with you guys all day. I absolutely love it. So, no, I appreciate that story, man. That's awesome.
Good times back in high school and middle school football and everything else. But all right, we got a few other questions that have come in here that I wanted to get to. We got one that says, let's see, it was asking, I can't find it all of a sudden, but do you think the Broncos defense could be number one if they stay healthy this year?
No, I think that the linebacking position is a huge point of weakness for the Broncos right now. You've got to find a linebacker that can cover Travis Kelce, folks, because if you don't, you're going to see a lot of the same things that we saw the last few years. Now, Justin Strnad going down, that's out of there. They're trying to bring in another linebacker, and I'm spacing on his name, the Pittsburgh Steeler that they're going to sign.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm spacing too.
I can't remember. Help me out, y'all. Help me out. But they're bringing in this young man. He's a veteran player. I think he's got over 130 starts in the NFL. I believe he even played at the University of Alabama. Mark Barron, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, Mark Barron.
Mark Barron, they've got him in right now. I would expect that Broncos announced that he's going to be signed probably in the near future. But because of the linebacking core and because of all the questions, Alexander Johnson, the T-Rex dance, that's great. He's a run stuffer. Right? Todd Davis, he's a little banged up. We're not sure where the tackling machine's going to be. The blue-collar linebacker, Josie Jewell, don't ask him to cover. Just don't do it. He's a tackling machine in the middle as well. There is a lot left to be desired with the Broncos linebacking crew. I am feeling confident, top 10 defense, but I'm not ready to go number one.
Yeah, there's some great defenses out there. Steelers obviously still have a great defense, playmakers at every level. I hate to say this, but the Chargers look like they have an absolute stud of a defense.
They do.
They have some linebacker issues too, but they have great edge. They've got good interior. They've got safeties galore, cornerbacks galore that can move all over the field. So they're going to be a great defense. There's just some really good ones that are going to make it difficult for the Broncos. The only way I see the Broncos defense being able to statistically say let's go points per game is kind of like with the Chiefs last year. Their defense was not number one in the NFL, but they were number one in points given up over the last 8 weeks of the season. And big part because the offense was just outscoring everyone to the point where they just had to throw and take chances. And so the defense was able to get turnovers and sacks because if you know that they're going to throw, it's kind of nice. It's kind of like a batter. If you know a fastball is coming, the Houston Astros, when they knew what the pitch was coming, it made it a lot easier to hit it. And so it's the same for the NFL. If you know what's coming. So if the offense really clicks and starts getting some early leads in games where they can really start teeing off with Von Miller and that whole defensive line and Bradley Chubb and all those guys. And if one of the young cornerbacks somehow really rises to the challenge and becomes something, let's say Devontae Bosby becomes a great player. Mm-hmm. I think he has it in him. He was my dark horse last year. Then I think you maybe could see this defense get to close to that level, but it's really tough to get to that.
We got our boy Duke Boynton coming. I love it, Duke. Duke, a loyal listener, one of our Super Chat superstars. Duke coming in with the Chargers are to WWE as Brock Lesnar was to the Vikings. He was there, but still sucked. Absolutely love it, Duke. And Broncos country, we know the Chargers aren't a threat, right? And the national media tries to sell it every year. Watch out for the Chargers. Watch out for the Chargers. Well, just because Phyllis Rivers isn't there anymore, and yes, I said Phyllis, they're still in the same position they're going to be, and that's going to be bottom of the pack. I expect the Las Vegas Raiders to have a better overall record than the Los Angeles Chargers. But the AFC West, man, it's going to look hot. It's going to look really hot. It's going to be one of the better divisions in all of football. There's so much talent here, and it's young talent, and that's something to be excited about. We got Mundungus coming in once more with some love. Mundungus Creevy, you've been showing us so much love tonight, man. Really appreciate you. Juwan James is me, and any sort of effort is the 4'2", 90-pound kid that he's dunking on. So I absolutely love it. You guys have been awesome. We got a few more minutes with you guys. We want to keep making sure that we're answering a few questions before we go. See one right here. We talked about it just a little bit earlier, coming in from our boy. It's not Terry. I think I missed it. It's from Manny Wise, asking about an update on Chubb. Carl, what can you tell us real quick about Chubb and his injury today?
Just sounds like it's a precaution that they'll probably keep him out of practice for a couple days. Just let that swelling heal up. Anytime you have a knee injury, especially torn ACL, there's going to be swelling when you start putting a lot of pressure on that, even after this many months of rehab. So it's just one of those things. They're going to let it heal up. They want to make sure that he is a go for week 1 rather than a go for right now. And so nothing too concerning. It's still something to keep in the back of your mind. But it's nothing that I'm going to go too crazy over right now.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's something that we just got to temper those things. You know, not all news is bad news. Not all good news is great news. You just kind of got to go with it, dig a little, and figure out what it means. But I think that's going to almost wrap it up for us, brother. It looks like we've got a huge group with us tonight. I wish we could keep going with y'all, but we got to stick it to that 1 hour mark. And I just wanted to say real quick, we had a really great audience tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. I definitely want to say what's up to rest in peace TJ out there. I know that the Mile High Huddle community has recently lost a member, so thoughts and prayers to all of those that need those. And it's a tough world right now, so we just got to stay positive, guys. We got to keep bringing each other up, and please go over to milehighhuddle.com. We've got guys writing all the time. We've got great podcasts, 4 podcasts with Huddle Up, Building the Broncos, the Dove Valley Deep Divers, Mile High Insiders. Go give us a thumbs up, man. Listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate the love so much. Carl, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just probably would say, again, like you said, great time here. Always hate that this hour ends so quickly.
I know. I get so bummed out when I look at the clock.
Yep. But make sure you subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Gets us out there to more and more. So appreciate that for anybody that can help us with that. And great to hear the defense is really showing well. I think we're going to have a lot more turnovers this year, giving the offense some chances to put up some big points. And it does sound like even though Drew Lock had a bad day, he was still making plays even on a bad day. That's what you love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And expect good things, folks. Good things are coming for the Broncos, but good things do come to those who wait. I'm very impatient, but football's back. Less than a couple weeks away. We got to make sure that we just keep rolling with our Broncos. We keep encouraging them. And like Chris Hernandez saying, before you go, click those little thumbs up. We appreciate it, Chris. One of our best followers, Super Chat Superstars. Y'all killed it. Our audience killed it tonight. John on the 1s and 2s. He's Carl Dumler. Carl Dumler. I'm Luke Patterson saying always believe in that Mile High magic.
You've been listening to the Huddle Up Podcast. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.